into this country. These are people who want to kill you. They want to rape your children. They want to rape your wives, your daughters. They do not care. And this is coming. It doesn't matter.
It's a warlike cult where they indoctrinate from birth and then sleeper cell. Exactly. I'm just done. And then I'm blamed as I'm mean because I don't want them throwing gays off buildings.
Yeah, and
we
we're
shouldn't
all
have to apologize every 2 seconds. We shouldn't have to apologize every time there's an attack and go, well, not all Muslims. Well, obviously not all Muslims, like was just said a second ago.
But it's Islam doing it.
But it's okay for us to say there's radical Islam. We should be able to say that. If some white guy goes on a killing rampage, guess what? That guy is an idiot.
But
I'm not going to be offended by it when the news comes out and goes, a white guy went into a theater and killed everybody. I'm not going to be offended by that because it's not me. I'm an individual.
It's directed. It's directed by the House of Saud with the globalists and a larger destabilization program. We have to stop it. We have to shut it off. We have to say most of these people don't have jobs. They're getting put on welfare. No, 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 you're not coming in. All right. We're going to go now here in just a few minutes to parts of the news that were taped at 5:30 when this all broke. I want to thank the crew for working so hard, but I know it's not hard to get you to do it. You're passionate. You're true, classical, Americana, Renaissance, Enlightenment liberals, which means more freedom for everybody, more tolerance, more openness, more language, more debate. And I want to thank Joe. I want to thank all the rest of the great crew, people behind the scenes nobody ever sees that make this possible. I'm going to go home and try to put my kids to bed and then get up at 7 in the morning and work out and do research and come up here and do the show again. We're going to have all of you again, I think, tomorrow back on the broadcast as well. We got Trump suspending his VP pick and so much more. Let's get 1 minute from each person that wants to pop in, and then we're done. Joe Biggs?
Just wake up. You know, this is happening by design. The borders are open for a reason. We see this happening, unfolding. You've been calling it for years, and it is now in fruition. It is now happening. So wake up. This is the plan they want. They want to destabilize America because it's the biggest threat to this world government while the entire world is collapsing to install a one world government and bring in the UN.
And they're officially saying it. It's no longer even our opinion. I can't believe it. I'm actually pinching myself on a daily basis. Margaret?
I want to leave this on a comical note. You know, any women listening to this, do it for Denmark comes to mind. And we're being outbred. We're being outbred in our own civilization. And I loved your culture war speech just now. And perhaps we could take this back if we could just try to start outnumbering. And I think maybe that's the direction we should
We're going to go make some
I'd be all happy to have a bunch of brown people that were libertarians and patriots. The thing is, it's just the globalists are funding this to bring down everything. Leanne?
I agree. I think we have enough time to turn this around. And, you know, if it is
speaking of
making some babies out there, or, you know, going, building up our own civilization and not being afraid to say, this is our culture. This is the Western civilization is great. We have done so many wonderful things. Stop making them force you to apologize because they bring up false tactics and false things from hundreds of years ago when every single country that is around was created on conquest and slavery.
Exactly.
It's not just the United States of America, the greatest nation ever.
And the Muslim orthodoxy of Saudi Arabia is like the most Stone Age crap ever. I mean, it's just crazy. All right, great.
That's who I was talking about outbreeding, just really quickly. Yes. That's who we need to outbreed. Forgive me for interrupting you. I just want to...
No, you're right. Here's the deal. Whether it's Japan or whether it's any advanced civilization, Italy, I want the Italians to go away. They're all not having kids. They're all dying.
No, and that's something that the imams
brag about.
They brag about, and they talk about that being something that they...
Yeah, I'm not getting any cool cars or sunglasses from Saudi Arabia.
This is a long-term war for them. This is a long-term war for them, okay? Right. This is a holy war for them, and they are taking the long route there. They're playing chess.
Yeah, they believe they're getting dominion, and it's a bunch of guys in, like, Santa Claus outfits, like, with women chained up. Man, is that really who humans are? No. I mean, how the hell did slave trading Bedouins end up ruling this religion and taking over? And the truth is they're just long-term, they're deceptive, and they're not giving up, and we're not giving up. They teach, when I was in school, that the Crusades were this evil, horrible thing. And I'm like, excuse me, I remember in high school, the Crusades were launched after 500 years of Islamic invasion when they almost took Rome, they almost took Krakow in Poland. I mean, we almost lost everything. They're like, yeah. But it was able to fight back against that. I'm like, why are you teaching that? Well, I mean, it's like, it's good that Constantinople fell, Alex. The freedom will soon be here. And they're just like, okay, are you a Muslim? No, but I'm a leftist. And there'll soon be freedom. And it's like, I guess they think they're going to get a slave dungeon or something. I don't know.
I don't know. Well, that's the prophecy that they're wanting to see fulfilled. Well,
it's not going to happen. Ladies and the rest of the crew, I'm sorry they're not wearing burgers. You can go right to hell. That's what I have to say to all that. To all of you out there that don't like what we're saying, if it's so bad, get the hell out. And we're going to go down to the segments of the news that you've not yet seen that were taped earlier. And Lord willing, we'll be back tomorrow, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time for the big kickoff of the worldwide broadcast. This has been great to have you guys back in. Thanks to the rest of the crew and the people like just everybody back there, people like Joe Jennings, everybody else. We'll see you back tomorrow. God bless.
I'm Ashley Beckford for INFOWARS.com. I'm going out today on the streets of Austin, Texas, to find out what people know about the Day of Rage protests occurring on July 15th in light of the recent police shootings. Anonymous is coming out and having like National Day of Rage in several different cities in order to protest these police shootings that have been happening. What do you think about that?
Actually, I'd rather not speak on this, so thank you.
Could you answer one question about Bernie?
Thank you.
No? What do you feel about nonviolent protests about, these recent police shootings? Do you think it's a good thing?
I think nonviolence is probably the better option in most cases, yeah.
Did you hear about the Day of Rage that they're having tomorrow, promoted by Anonymous over the police shootings?
Oh, I have not heard anything about that, no.
I don't really know enough to say, honestly.
Do you think nonviolent protest is a good way to combat these police shootings?
Honestly, I think that's the only way we'll actually get through. Violence begets violence. I think Martin Luther King Jr. was right on, and look at all the good works that nonviolence has helped. So I think we have to stop somewhere. And so, yeah, I'm really supporting it and looking forward to it.
I wanted to know if you think it's a coincidence that there's also communications outages in a lot of these cities where they're going to be protesting tomorrow.
Well, frankly, I don't know. If there's a relationship between both things is beyond my knowledge.
Do you think it's a coincidence that there have been a lot of outages with Comcast and other communications providers during the same time?
I'm not a big believer in coincidences.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's good to have a nonviolent protest just because if you fight violence with violence, it just doesn't do any good.
And could it be a coincidence or maybe something more that there are going to be communications outages, like Comcast has a lot of down communication right now during those protests in the same areas?
I think it might be a coincidence, maybe, if Anonymous is trying to wage a war against them.
I mean, a nonviolence protest to combat previous violence, I think that's always the way to go, but it's really hard to achieve in a lot of situations.
In light of the recent terror attacks in Nice, the Day of Rage protests are taking on a new ominous tone. The widespread Comcast outages may affect communication during these protests.
And welcome back. Joining me in studio now, Joe Biggs and Margaret Howell, and we're going to talk a little bit about what to expect in the coming weeks at the RNC and the DNC. Now, we have seen a week of violence here, massive protests all around the country, and we know that there are going to be some more protests planned for the Republican as well as the Democratic convention. Millions of dollars being spent in these cities preparing for this. And of course, they had, some really amazing security plans in place, but now after what happened in Dallas, they're having to change their tune. So what do you guys expect? What's happening there at the RNC first?
I mean, it's going to be interesting. I mean, we saw how the Philadelphia reacted to the Pope coming in, the large security measures that they took, they had to take over the area. It's only going to get worse now that we have presidential frontrunner Donald Trump coming in, the many speakers, the paid agitators, George Soros money being funneled in to this area. Police are coming in from Austin to Cleveland to go help. There's police coming in from different counties, different cities, different states to help try to quieten the civil unrest that we know is going to happen. Black Lives Matter is openly coming out saying they're bringing in people. You've got the leader of Black Lives Matter, DeRay McKesson, met with Obama yesterday at the White House for 3 hours. 24 hours after Obama attended the funeral of the police officers that died in Dallas.
And turned it into a political
That's what they always do.
We know that they're busing at 8,000 as well. And you mentioned McKesson. We understand that these protests are going to be in full force. But what's interesting to me, Leanne, the do not bring list does not include guns. So during the RNC, things are banned like water guns, throwing feces, of course,
tennis
balls, but not actually weapons. You can bring a loaded gun with you if you have the permit to do it. So it looks like if they really wanted to quell the violence that they're expecting, they might want to go ahead and maybe just take it a step.
Well, Ohio has the open carry law, so you don't even have to have a permit like you do here in Texas to be able to open carry or conceal carry. You know, you already have Black Panthers coming out of the new Black Panthers saying that they will be open carrying at these rallies. I got word that the Hells Angels are going to be there. A large group of Oath Keepers will be there as well. You know, the interesting thing is, though, is like you said, guns are allowed because of the law. Right. But then they go and ban these stupid things like tennis balls, water bottles, gas masks.
Yeah. Assault in the Second Amendment everywhere except for the RNC, basically.
Right. Well, and of course, the Democrats are really enjoying this because they're saying, oh, well, look at your gun laws are now backfiring on you because, of course, this is going to create a security nightmare for the Secret Service and all of these other security groups that are trying to protect the First Amendment rights and Second Amendment rights of people who are allowed to be out there doing that. But there's also major security concerns, especially considering this past week, what we've seen.
Yeah, there's definitely some trickery going on. They're definitely going to use that open carry law against the right, against the people who want to have the constitutional carry, the right to protect themselves. They want someone like a new Black Panther Party to pull a gun, or they want someone that's just out on the street watching what's going on to pull their gun and then blame it on the right and then see, this isn't going to work out. We need to have stricter gun laws.
Exactly. Well, we know they're always looking for an opportunity to exploit situations like this. And, you know, it will remain to be seen what is going to happen there. But we do know that there is going to be some chaos at the Republican convention, both outside of the walls as well as in. So what are some of the RNC rules that they're kind of mulling over to?
Right. Well, we know that the establishment, so they're after Trump. They cannot stand this. They're going to pull all stops to a last-ditch effort from my research to try and stop this. Now, the funny part about this, Leanne, in 2012, the establishment Republicans, they made it harder for insurgent delegates to challenge a GOP nominee on the convention floor. They never anticipated Trump, of course, so this rule is biting them in the tail at the moment, which I love, frankly. We see in full force the Never Trump movement coming out, slamming Trump repeatedly. People like Bill Kristol, Mitt Romney calling him racist, misogynistic. The bigotry is off the charts. I'm paraphrasing Mitt Romney. Last-ditch effort on the inside as well as the outside. There is a full-on war waged. But the Never Trump movement has failed. You think that, you know, by the time we get to we're 17 hours out. On Sunday, there's a kickoff, and then Monday. So Trump's doing his VP pick, of course, and they're doing everything they can, the establishment behind the scenes. But the rules are biting them in the butt, unfortunately. Sorry about that, guys.
No, well, it's very true. And, you know, people are sort of anticipating that. And I find that Never Trump argument interesting because they say that it's never Trump because they believe in true conservatism. So they'd rather elect Hillary. It's like, what are you talking about? You're shooting yourself in the foot. But then, of course, as we move on to the Democratic convention, they're talking about strikes there. So roughly 1,000 of the city's airport workers have voted overwhelmingly to strike. These are wheelchair attendants, baggage handlers, and airport cleaners, among other people. So that is in addition to the possibility of up to 1 million protesters from a plethora of activist groups who are saying they're going to be descending upon these two conventions.
Well, look at the numbers in Philadelphia, the amount of Democrats who switched over to Republican. It's going to be interesting because a lot of people think that most of the chaos is going to be at the RNC, but you're going to see a lot of these people in Philadelphia. The RNC is going to set the tone for how the rest of this is going to go, and it's going to be intense. Like you said earlier, the amount of security that was there for the Pope, imagine that, quadruple that. That's what Philadelphia is going to be like. But I mean, there's already, if you go to the International Action Center, they already have a schedule of planned protests that cover through the entire RNC week in Cleveland. The first one's going to be Shut Down Trump at the RNC. It'll be where the convention's being held at 4 p.m. And I mean, if you go through this article, there's just tons and tons of different protests going on and how they're talking about they want to stop Trump because of his racism, his Islamophobia, the attacks on immigrants, LGBT. So